3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us under the library. We're playing Call of Cthulhu. It's homebrewed and unedited. We're doing things a little bit different this week because a bunch of us are going to be gone next week. We're not going to be able to record a show. So rather than taking a week off, we're going to record 2 episodes tonight. One before the break, one after the break, and then we're going to release the second one next week so that you folks don't miss a week of content. And speaking of you folks, if you would like to support what we do here, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can head over to DriveThruRPG and pick up a copy of The Snake's Oil, our module, which takes place in Season 1 with Season 1 characters written by our very own keeper, obviously with some contribution from us. And the other way you can support us is to head over to patreon.com/UnderTheLibrary. With that out of the way, we'll get rolling. My name's Arthur. I'm playing Franny. We have a full house again tonight. I am joined by Emily as Joe, Chris as Boone, Scott as Culligan, Wayne as Rutherford, and Rick as Bello. And as always, our amazing keeper is that guy over there, Michael. Michael, the show is all yours.
Hey, cool. Thanks for joining us. Under the Library is a tabletop RPG set in the world of Call of Cthulhu. We feature mature themes played by immature people. That's all of us. So if salami-flavored underwear doesn't make you throw up in your mouth a little bit, you're probably okay to join us tonight. And with that, I'll turn it over to Emily for last week's episode.
Thanks for that, Michael.
No thanks for that. No thanks for that whatsoever.
So last week, as we began, Cully is sobbing, inconsolable, because he thought of Richard like a father and had been imagining his life with Richard in it. Joe tries to comfort him, but at the same time, she is also drawn back into the daydream that formed around her as she read the passage from her journal, her stolen journal. At the same time, inside, Rutherford searches Richard's body, and finds a small rectangle sewn into the breast of the jacket. He is able to get it out from between the layers of the coat, and he realizes that he's pretty sure it's a small camera with one exposure. He knows that he wants to find Cully to find the dark room and try to expose this image and see if it holds any clues. Bello, at the same time, helps Rutherford out of the room. His eye at this point is swollen shut, and he has a weird vision of Bello as Betty Lou, the lady Joe met in the lobby of the theater, with her root beer float. We'll see, perhaps, why that happened later. Franny is still examining the filaments in the body. The clean sample she has in her jar is clearly shriveling, and the samples that are still connected seem to be fine, so she takes a sample with a chunk of flesh along with it. Outside, Joe continues to try to comfort Cully and ends up sharing the passage from the book that she read because she thought it might bring him some calm and peace. Tries to convince him that he still has options in his life, in his future. They head back inside, and they're lucky, for Cully's sake, to miss the bloody footprints and other signs of the tragedy. At this point, we cut to Boone, and remember, Boone had blown up the chicken mobile, after which he started to hitchhike to Santa Fe with Fred Durskin, a salesman selling Bosco medical equipment. Fred also tried to sell him on some goods. And eventually, he hops a train from Santa Fe to Albuquerque, but jumps off in the middle to go to his family's farm, his mother's farm. This is around 10 p.m. He walks about 20 minutes to get there, so it's night, but it's not too late. The house is dark. He taps on his brother's window, and we meet Duke. Duke calls Boone Johnny. He gives him $10, smelly ones from his shoe, because Duke doesn't have a lot of discretionary spending money living at home with mother. Boone lifts him out of the window. We realize that Duke may not be entirely mobile. He moves him in a wagon to the barn because he wants him to work on their dad's old car. He has quite a talent with mechanical things. And the two brothers have a lengthy exchange as they're working on the car, the doodlebug in the barn, that brings out some latent guilt in Boone. Duke is stuck at home. Boone has been away. He promises to come back for the Pie Festival in 2 weeks, which he called Pie Town. And
it's an actual place, Pie Town, New Mexico.
Well, I just learned something.
And it's an actual, they have an annual pie festival. They have.
He will.
Since the
truly
1800s.
Go to Pie Town.
I do my research.
That's amazing.
I would never doubt it. So he promises to come back, and eventually he and Duke can go traveling. But for now, the car is done. And as it starts, it wakes Ma. Boone hops in and drives away, leaving Duke to push himself back to the house in the wagon. He is overcome with guilt, but he does not want to talk with his mother. So back to the house. Bello
does want to find a drink, though.
Oh, he really does. Yeah. He cries. He wants a drink. He's driving the doodlebug. Rutherford finds Cully and wants him, of course, to help with the dark room, with the picture, the camera. And they strike a deal of sorts because Cully is only willing to help if it is a path to find the people who killed Richard. And Joe, of course, supports him in this and says that she will help him and make sure that they're on that path with everything that they're doing. We are not sure if Rutherford and Cully are on the same page, but Rutherford certainly wants to take down the great conspiracy that is forming in the facility. As we ended last week, Franny came out holding the jar with the brain sample and the filament and says, "I have a clue right here," in response to the mention of clues in the conversation. That was our week.
Uh-oh. There you
A
go.
little extra. Never hurt anybody.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
That was just a bonus.
Yep.
Can I just ask, can season 3 be centered in Plentywood, Montana? Is that okay?
Gee, why
Well, that's where
would
we're
you?
starting the evening.
Were you just
That's
looking up weird places
Yeah.
in America?
And that's actually a pretty mundane one.
And Rick, you should know that just because you asked, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to see your lumberjack character that gets created for Plentywood, Montana.
That is the right answer.
He's
Michael.
actually the town's mascot. So he.
Oh my God!
Yeah. All right. We're already gone.
Does he
down
wear
a path
a beaver costume?
We can keep going.
Is it next to the town of Bendover?
Where should we start this week? We have an hour.
All right, 30 seconds in, we're already off the rails. Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
So as we plummet off the rails, it's nighttime, right? Like Cully and Rutherford have been in the dark room. Is that right? Franny's got her brain.
We haven't
actually
gone
gotten
yet.
into the dark room.
Should we play out the dark room?
Okay. What's that?
We should play out the dark room. Who knows what would happen in the dark room?
Wow. All right.
No, what if the picture gets ruined? What if they use the wrong chemical? Not everything has to be dirty, Michael.
Michael, you really got thrown off there for a second, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Thanks. It sounds like you and Rick just conspired to like stick a dynamite right under my keeper chair tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You shouldn't be sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Okay. It is nighttime though. It's
You
late.
got that part right.
Yes, I'm close. Boone's a little far ahead in time, if I remember correctly, right? He hit the road well into the morning. So we're time shifting back to the house, or we were at the house. So let's finish up that a little bit then. And who wants to take it away?
Well, didn't you say that me yelling that I had a clue was an important thing to end on? Because, I did come out with a piece of brain in a jar.
Yeah, that was.
I just said it was a really nice visual. It was a really
Okay.
beautiful visual to kind of end on.
You just wanted to torture Scott a little bit and play
Yeah.
that out.
For what it's worth, Cully, when you say that, Cully's not looking at you. Like,
Okay.
I'm sort of turning my back a little bit, because I not that I don't think Cully could actually handle it, because he's harder edged than you're giving him credit for, Michael. But he wants to get downstairs. He wants to show Rutherford where the dark room is. Like he's getting to business now.
I gave Cully a lot of credit last week. He was in some pretty dire situations, and I stuck up for his emotional defenses. Big time.
We
Big
just
time.
don't give Scott any credit.
Well, yeah.
I forgot. Cully gets infinitely more credit than I do.
But Richard's brain in a jar, that might be, it's a little, yeah.
I'll roll if you want me to roll.
Cully, need to roll on that.
Would you be able to tell? Maybe Rick
Yeah,
could
what
help
it
us out.
is.
Would you be able to tell that it was a brain just by a cube of it?
Yeah, would a teenager in the early 40s be able to tell that it was a brain?
No, that's okay. I'll give Scott and Cully a pass this week. So, Cully,
All right.
where do you want to go?
So Rutherford,
we've killed
come
your
on.
best friend.
Yeah, Rutherford, come on. Let's get to the basement. I'll show you where the dark room is. I would know what to do in there, but I'm guessing a smart guy like you can figure it out.
Well, Rutherford's a chemist, so yes, I was going to say he should be able to figure out a few chemicals with some silver nitrate stuffy. And let me find his sheet.
All right, so as he's doing that, we'll start walking downstairs, and you sort of go around, and it's a nice winding set of stairs, and then you get with a landing, and you get downstairs, and it's a very big, expansive basement. And the place where I stay is it's got its own entrance, and it's a nice bed, and it's really raised off the floor, and there's a nightstand, there's a lamp. Like, it's actually a really nice setup, and there's a door on it, and the door locks. So Richard really gave.
I wish you had told us that from the get-go, because you were describing it as a pallet.
Oh,
and I was figuring like a straw mat on the floor.
No. Yeah, in the basement.
It would have solved
it's a wonderful
world
walkout
of
with a Berber, and the Berber's just nice, and it complements the beige so well. And
it's a really, so it's a space that, what I could say is, as I'm walking by, like, Cully is just looking like I'm about to lose my home. Like he's just downcast, and he's just like, it's over there, Rutherford. And
actually, Rutherford, he's not the best psychology stuff like that. Would Rutherford pick up on Cully's emotional?
I'm gonna say you can really roll on it if you want to fight for this, but I'm gonna say Rutherford's pretty focused at the moment. I think Rutherford's gonna want to get to the bottom of what's in his hands. Like, I think he might be a little bit concerned about Cully, but this is bigger business for you. Unless you have a different argument for Rutherford's personality.
I was going to say under an extreme situation, and then I was going to say it actually just dawned on me now. Coming down the stairs, Rutherford would have seen this room, and perhaps even Cully would have stuttered, for a minute, stopped for a second in front of his door before reaching for the handle, and maybe his body slouched a little bit. And I'm thinking Rutherford then would have captured a sense of it, because he's going through a little bit of this same thing. He lost his long-time friend, and maybe there would be a little mirror there. So I'm gonna ask for a shot at a roll. He has terrible psychology.
I like that argument. That's a good argument. I didn't give you enough emotional credit.
And so I was gonna say it could be a Rutherford, just a thing where it derails him from what he's looking for. I guess we'll just do a roll, and if it's particularly low, we'll go with it. Holy crap, it's a 5.
All right, then you go. You got the lead. You take the narrative, buddy.
Wow, this is unbelievable for Rutherford. So, Rutherford. I'm going to say
maybe there's a photo down there somewhere that sets you off. Like, as you walk down it, maybe you see a photo that just like really pulls at your memory there.
So Rutherford sees 2 photos. Going down the stairs, he sees a photo of the old that Richard kept on the wall, because upstairs, Richard had his more ornate artwork and such like that. But going down, like a lot of basements, you have your mementos and things that you don't put on display. And there was one of the college days the college that they went to. And there's a picture of Richard with this smile getting out of an old vehicle with a bag. in hand, arriving at school, and the excitement, and it was just kind of, had this look back towards the camera and this grin of excitement of going off on an adventure. The great.
And are you stopped in front of that photo?
And that Rutherford would have stopped, come down the stairs. That would have caught him. That's what would have stopped him. It caught the corner of the open and good. And he would have turned and seen that photo, and a pang would have went through him, because the sense of loss, which he hasn't hit him yet.
And really quickly, so when I see you so I'm going to go up to you and I'm going to say, Rutherford, he took that photo out when I moved in down here, so that it would encourage me to go to college. And he used to tell me all about your college days together and everything that he learned. And he was trying his hardest to get me to be a better student so that I could follow him to college.
And at that, Rutherford's kind of stuck for a moment and doesn't know what to say. And Rutherford has a bit of oddly emotion in him, in which I even feel now myself. And Rutherford just turns to Cully and can't say anything else, but I'm so sorry. And then takes a couple more steps and then sees a second picture, and the next picture is actually of Richard, our host, and Cully, and they were on an outing in in town, just going down the street, and there was a photograph taken of them on the streets. They were going for, to the local soda shop to get perhaps a nice ice cream soda and something like that. And he sees that one, and he sees the correlation between the two, that Richard had this wall that he put special people on and special remembrances, and Rutherford is overtaken with it, and his emotion wells up, and he says to Cully, he says, I don't know what I can do, but if I can get you to college someday, I'd love to help you do that. I know some people. Once we get through this, I can write some letters and get you into a college that I went to and Richard went to.
Well, thank you, Rutherford. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that anymore. That's something Richard wanted for me, but I can't pay for college. No one in the Straits goes to college. I don't know if it's going to happen.
He says that's not important to think about the payment. If Richard had faith in you that you could do it, I believe you could do it, because he's an incredibly smart man, and he's not often wrong. I'm going to be behind you in this, and I know people that could probably get you in without charging you. This is going to happen, but first we have work in front of us to do. So let's go to this dark room and see what's on this camera as our first step.
Cully, for what it's worth, you're seeing something in his face, because he was sort of convinced that it was over. And I still miss Richard. I can't imagine what it's going to be like without him. But Rutherford, that's the first thing that's made me feel like maybe my future's not lost. Between you and Joe, maybe there's hope.
He says, but the first thing, Cully, is we need to get the story behind what happened to Richard and equal the tables with the people who did this to him. We need to find those people who pushed him into the car and have your satisfaction.
Yeah, we'll have it. So I'm not going to go in the room with you, because I'm worried that I'm going to break something. So, I don't know. And I'll Joe, did you come downstairs with us?
I didn't.
Okay. All right. So
it's a pretty tight
you?
Space too.
Huh?
It's a pretty tight space anyway, as dark rooms go. I mean, it's not.
So it's
not really meant for a bunch of.
Yeah, Cully wouldn't know. So I'm going to say, Rutherford, do you need someone to help you? Do you want me to go see if there's someone else or is this just one person?
And he goes, my eye isn't very good, but I think I could manage in there. Just make sure the door stays shut and no one comes down into it, and I should be able to handle a dark room. I've been in them many times.
All right, and let's make sure Bello does not help you.
For those not watching YouTube,
what.
Bello is miming that he would like to volunteer to help in the dark room.
No matter what. All right, so you going in the room, and I'm just gonna sit next to the door, and I'm just gonna sort of sit guard there, and I'll just be sort of sitting there, with my legs crossed and just sort of looking around, thinking while you're doing your thing.
Okay. So Rutherford will use his chemistry ability, which he's a chemist, so he'll go about his business in the dark room where he knows his way around the bottles and pans.
Yeah, just give me a quick roll on that, and you can use any stat you want. I just want to know the outcome.
Okay, I'll argue for a little extra where he has, with this camera, which is a quirky camera, he has fantastic mechanical ability of 70, and he has a chemistry ability of 70 as well. So cool. He's doubly good.
Yeah, then roll. We'll say you roll with advantage, and given how many beers I've had in the dark room over the years and still managed to not mess up a roll of film, I'm guessing you're probably okay.
Same, dude.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
We rolled a 41 solidly in the middle.
Okay.
Success.
Perfect. That's great. All right. So let's cut from there we'll give you some time to get the chemicals done and get the temperatures right on the water and all of that good stuff to get the film developed. The one thing maybe that we'll take a moment to point out is that you do take the room or the camera into the dark room, and it's of course pitch black in there. And it's an interesting contraption because as you pop the back off the camera, the film is slightly larger than you expected. You expected something probably even less than 35, probably closer to like a 16 millimeter film, but it's just a little bit wider. And you can tell by running your fingers along the edge that this isn't just a commercially produced piece of film, and that possibly he hand cut the piece of film himself to fit into the camera. There's a little bit kind of a moment there, Rutherford, where you're torn as you feel that, because you were really, really close to Richard, and this camera and its purpose were well within your wheelhouse of both designing and crafting. Mm-hmm. And he never talked about it to you, and he never showed it to you, and he never asked you to build it for him, right? And it's something that even as you're kind of feeling it in the dark, you're thinking about how you would have built it better and done it differently. And there's this whole kind of rise of emotion about the fact that Richard kept this camera secret from you, and that he used it at all, which, I think for your character would create just a little bit of like inner turmoil, right? It's maybe start to create those seeds of doubt of how close you actually were to Richard and anything else that you... Yeah, go ahead.
That actually already started when he realized he had his secret location that we found in the wall, and that was never talked of. This whole other world he operated in and had no words of, and he's finding secrets that were found on the back of the paintings, and then everything else he's seen. There was a whole portion of him that seemed to be in a compartment far away from his good friend. And he's sensing that he kept this whole compartment away from almost everyone. That's how he's explaining it to himself.
Okay. Right. All right. So let's cut over. And who wants to pick up then on the other end? Boone, we're going to wait on you. It might be, given the short night, it might be next episode. But
I'm just going to come home and sleep on the porch while everyone else is sleeping.
That's what you think. All right.
Oh boy.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay. Any of you three want to take over?
Well, I was just walking out with the sample saying I've got a clue, and then I suppose I said, where are they going?
They're looking for the dark room.
Yeah, they found that Rutherford
dark
found
room.
some sort of some metal contraption. I think he said it might be some sort of photography device, and he is heading down there.
Oh, that's terribly interesting. Well, I'm going to put this in the fridge to keep it safe, but at some point I'm going to need to get to the lab to do some experimenting with these samples. What's going on up here?
You said some sort of clue. What type of clue you found there, Franny?
Yes, well, I found these filaments that seem to be coming out of his spinal column, but when exposed to air, they shrivel up quite quickly. So I've got a sample here still in his brain matter, and I'd really like to find out what that is. You know,
that's not normal, right?
No, it's certainly not. It's quite unusual. I've never seen anything like it.
And Franny, I want to give you the option, right? The lab, though it's not, like a 24-hour gym, there's people who run experiments all the time that require more than quote unquote working hours. And though you don't have high level access, you would still have the ability, to go there pretty much at any time. If you, there's people who show up at all hours, basically, is all I was going to say.
So I love that idea, but would that still be the case given the fact that there was a massive fire there just a few hours ago?
So, and good, no, totally great question. The complex itself is huge, right?
Okay.
And so the part that would be affected, and maybe that's something for you to figure out as well, but the part that would be affected would be some degree away from where you would access it. So let's say that was probably a football field or two away from, kind of where you normally enter and to do your work.
Given my experience and my time in this area and working for the lab, am I aware of a smaller, sort of more off the beaten path laboratory that I might be able to access at weird hours? Is that a thing that exists or no?
Let's find out. Make a luck roll on that one. That's a curious question. I like that question.
Well, I don't like my dice roll. So that was an 82.
Oh, okay, but not a 96.
No, not a horrible one.
I would say anything for you below a 96 is a success. But
that's true. Normally that is true. Yeah.
So there is in fact a lab that's kind of the ad hoc lab for experiments, but that currently Crystal LeBlanc was in there and doing some work on non-nuclear, but physics-based performance. And she's one of your more difficult colleagues to work with. And so you're a little hesitant because if you went in there and ran into her, it may be more trouble than it's worth.
Okay. So, I'd really like to get to a lab. The question is whether we'll be able to get into my main lab with all the shenanigans that happened there today. There is another one that I'm aware of, but man, there's this horrible woman doing work there, and I'd really rather not run into her. We could always try going there and seeing if she's in the lab, and if not, I could go in and do some tests on this. The other option is, I think we've forgotten about the fact that we really need to get to Abiquiu to try to find Richard's other home, because there may be a lot of good information there.
Or lab, he's a scientifically minded individual, right? He may have some sort of setup there.
Well,
the other would be, do you think that a veterinarian, the doctor lady who mended my arm that one time, may have some sort of lab or equipment in hers that at least a microscope or something to evaluate these sort of pieces? And it's a brain. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen one or two, usually much smaller, maybe the size of a peanut, but could be helpful there. However, if you also want to go to the smaller off the beaten path, I do have a way of talking out of situations and distracting people. So we may be able to help distract.
Well, I think if we were going to a medical facility, even a private doctor, we would have to have a very good story that doesn't involve a human brain. Because I believe that doctors may have to report things like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, and it may
yeah.
actually start in the future, but I think we'd have a hard time.
Cully's not there to help, but just a reminder, isn't Bello like seriously injured?
Yeah, well, it's by the point is she could take a look at my arm and use that while you're looking at her equipment. You know what I'm saying? Use that as a distraction.
Okay.
A Bello herring, so to speak, and allow you to go back. And if they ask, you just say it's a dog's brain out of something that we
What
found.
about
it
one of those wild dogs?
one of
Maybe
wild
we caught
dogs.
one of those.
That sounds like a plan. That
He
sounds like
he might be able to not throat punch somebody. He's so injured too.
That could be helpful.
That's great.
Yeah, because this
Like, so
doctor
I'm
is a
here to see
woman,
your
right?
arm.
Well, the dog thing could work, although if it were me, I would certainly have multiple questions to follow up on that. Why there's a dog brain from one of these wild dogs, how we got it, where the rest of the dog is, things like that. So maybe I'll let you handle that line of inquiry.
Sure.
I think you might be
weave a
more
tail.
equipped to handle that particular situation. But I really would love to take a look under a microscope at these samples.
Yeah.
Do we have a vehicle here? Does anyone know if Richard has an extra vehicle?
Well, my vehicle should be just out front. The Barker.
Did we
Richard,
hear
remember,
that driving
did have
away?
A car.
Yeah, you guys know Richard had a car.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
That's right.
Richard, yeah.
I was in his car. That's
You were
right.
in it.
That's
yeah.
right. I was thinking about an extra car if we were all going to Abiquiu, because we wouldn't all fit in that one car unless it was some sort of Harry Potter
No,
thing.
the Ford 15 passenger has not come into existence at this time.
Right. Yeah. So we would need to find another vehicle. Maybe some sort of large recreational vehicle size thing would have been perfect. I wonder if there is something like that parked outside.
It should be.
So we did not hear that
there's-
vehicle drive away. We don't know that it's gone.
Oh
No.
man, there was so much.
There was a
I mean,
lot of hullabaloo.
there was a
going on
lot of
when
commotion in the house
Okay.
as he.
And
as he
I made a
left.
snap decision, like without
Sure.
any
mean,
thought, really, to
It
just.
was probably a good call. Another thing, has anyone seen Boone around? Where did he get off to?
I don't know. He helped mend my arm, but wonderful job there. You hear those crickets? They come out this time of night here in town. So they're quite large, and but they're very seasoned. They come and they go. They come and they go.
they do, yes.
They do. They get very quiet and shy sometimes. So he mended my arm. I passed out, last I recall, and when I woke, he was not here. So I have no clue.
Interesting. So, well, what do you think? Is there anything that you two need to take care of, or do one or both of you want to accompany me to try and find the doctor?
Oh, I can't leave Cully here.
Oh.
You can go. I'll stay and see what he wants to do next.
All right.
He's
Well, why
really
don't
not
we
doing well
why don't
right
we
now.
try and go down and talk to him?
Okay. I'm sure he'd want to talk to you.
No, not me. I meant you.
I will. I'm going to talk to Cully. I'm going to wait for him to come back up, though.
Okay.
Maybe he needed some space. He's still down there. Maybe he's helping Rutherford.
All right, Bello. It's you and I.
So you didn't want to be alone with Bello? Just
I did-
anyone? Third? There's room.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to go?
She's gonna start dragging Richard's corpse out. Like, no, he's got it. He's got it. You're fine, Bello. You stay here.
Everything's gonna go just fine, Franny.
He's gonna do weekend at Richard's with half a mandible. And
Right.
the bodies.
Staple something onto his shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get to it, there, Franny. Where are my keys at? Where are my keys? Have you seen
I
my
think
keys?
I'll drive, Bello. Thank you. You only have one arm there. Remember?
No, fair point. I forget that every hour of this game. That almost seems like a week's gone by. Yes.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that? You are more than welcome to drive. I'll mend my arm.
Why? Thank
So
you.
are you going to see Dr. Gardner or to go to that special lab you mentioned?
Well, I think we'll drive by the lab first and see if it's empty. And if it's empty, then we can go in there, because I think that would be much safer. And we may even drive by the main lab to see what the situation's like there, see if the fire's out, see if things have calmed down. If they've calmed down and everything's back to normal, then I can just go into my own lab. I know where everything is. I've got everything I would need.
We're going to have ourselves an adventure, Franny. That's right.
Oh, I cannot wait.
Bring some snacks.
Franny must have rolled a 98 on partner selection.
But Franny, should we bring anything apparel wise if I'm going to accompany you to any of these labs, or lab coat or something of that sort?
Yeah, you might want to dress up a little bit. Maybe put a sling on your arm, cover that up because that's a little gross. That might call some attention, and hopefully no one recognizes you. So maybe a hat. Some glasses.
This sounds perfect. This sounds wonderful. I will do all of the above. We'll get ourselves a pair of reading glasses that I'll have, tucked down just a little bit past my eyes so I can look over them, and a hat and something of Richard's, and dress myself up a little bit. Clean off.
That would look really nice on you, Bello.
Wouldn't that look just splendid?
You don't have to have a chicken outfit or anything like that.
Is it a white hat and a white blazer?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, that's what he was wearing. He was wearing an all-white suit.
That's right.
When he went,
really?
Yes.
I did not pick up on that. I did not pick up on that.
No, we don't have to wear the same. I'll probably wear something different. So I'll see if Richard has anything, and we can switch it to that, and then make our way over. That sounds wonderful.
All right. So we'll do that.
Well, how did you get so bloody?
Who? Me?
Bello.
That's like ancient history. That's at least like 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 episodes ago. So we don't need to rehash whole the history here. But
you just came back to the chicken mobile, and you were all your ear, and you never told us what happened.
Good point. In fact,
forgot about the ear.
In fact, I believe.
Oh God,
tortellini ear.
Yeah, and you just see a little steam coming out of my ear, a little whistling sound, and I go, well, as I'm talking to you, I realize, and I feel that in my pocket. Is the gun still there, Keeper? I don't think anybody removed that from my possession, right?
Oh yeah, no, you still have the gun.
And so I go, oh, that's right. I forgot to tell you all a bunch of good news, and I pull out the inventory logs or the scheduling logs that I took notes on, as well as the accounting pages of it's like the Duffer Brothers. No, that's Stranger Things.
That's a few pages back.
Yep, the other show. Whatever the accounting firm papers were that I took this middle pages from, that I could not interpret.
I believe I have it right here. It was the Brady Brothers.
Brady
Brothers, and
different show, the government lab.
Yep. Good point.
You called Wagoneer Farms.
Oh yeah, it caused some havoc.
And you took the schedule of deliveries from the director's office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll bring those out and I say, Franny, have you do you know about numbers? My brother Bruto used to do all the numbers in the book, so still does. I don't know why I use past tense. That's not. That's
that's a bad omen. It's a bad
omen. That's a very bad omen. And I'll say,
but your brother's alive.
Yeah, yes, I presume so, unless, apparently, anyways, we're just going to move right past that slip up. So I found these pages here within the director's office, and they just looked odd to me, sort of frequent visits from these brothers. I don't know, does this make any sense to you? Is anything unusual here, Franny?
Well, why don't I take a look here? I'll sit down and run some numbers a little bit while you go and get changed.
That sounds fantastic. So I'll go get changed and
get cleaned up a little bit.
And I'll should I tell them I got a gun? Should I tell them?
Said that out loud?
No, I'm just looking down.
You said it in the character voice.
Yeah, he's saying that in his head.
But I still want to know, how did you lose your ear?
Thank God.
Joe, but Joe, you were there.
No, we didn't see.
You told us we couldn't see.
We just saw a bundle of people.
We didn't know Bello was in the bundle.
Yeah, we don't know anything about the woman dying.
Yeah, we know none of that.
That of sure for sure, but it wouldn't. You would have to assume. I think you would have seen the large crowd moving and him coming from it. So I think you would at least know he was trampled to some degree.
Yeah, that was our
When we
assumption.
saw him, he was already on his foot and very injured on his feet, probably both
On my
of them.
foot, just on my single
More,
foot. I
more
didn't know-
foreshadowing. It's more foreshadowing there.
More foreshadowing. I mean,
And I
What's your
think
plan?
that it's
I
totally
like this. Let's
rational
slowly.
that Joe would want to know what happened in this moment of kind of relative peace when she's realizing that she doesn't know. So
Joe-
she's
Oh yeah,
asking.
I'm not questioning the line of inquiry. I'm just saying you would have like at least some base of knowledge that he probably got. I mean, because y'all drove him back from there. So I'm just saying you would have at
we
least
know
a-
he got injured in the facility, but we don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
happened.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, oh,
so
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
say,
I
I'll
see
say,
what you-
Joe, it
I
was.
follow what you're putting down, Joe. You go at Bella.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's fine. I know how to handle this.
Do not punch her.
I hit stop that. You know, it's not.
We don't know anything about
we
the
don't know
punching,
anything about that.
It's unbelievable.
other than
So,
it seems like the kind of thing Bella would do.
you know, that is just wild mischaracterization. There
Totally
was
accurate.
there was particular trigger
Where
in
does
that
the
moment.
wild mischaracterization come
Wild
from? I don't understand the
mischaracterization.
wild. Maybe mischaracter, but wild, really?
Why are we belaboring this? We don't need to do that no more. So I stepped, I got these wonderful papers here and constructed a conversation with the owners of the food supply chain infrastructure there at the base. And on my way out, there was a large crowd had formed to look at this horrific fire that was conflagrating and engulfing the campus. I mean, it was just this massive fire, and I can't understand.
So you looked at the fire.
Yeah, what happened with this very large and impressive fire? I don't know what happened there. That was just horrible. So much destruction, and then in that process, I was trying to
Sometimes
converse.
fires spread, and you just can't do anything about it.
Mistakes happen. Yeah. And so this explosion then suddenly occurred as I was conversing with this very lovely woman. She was just a wonderful person. And that created a huge boom and knocked us down onto the ground. At which point there was a stampede. People were rushing. It was like cattle were spooked. And I got trampled. My arm got all torn asunder and broken. My head got scraped across that asphalt.
So they just ran over you and didn't even care?
No, they cared so little for little Bolay. You know what? I think at this point, maybe I won't even supply them with chicken. I mean, it's just such a disgrace. And by the time
Little Bolay.
I just combined those two. That's
little Bolay.
Little Bolay. That's what my mama used to call
That's
me.
foreshadowing too. There's going to
Yeah.
be a little Bolay in the future.
Not in this campaign. They're sure as hell not.
I'm just wondering if you thought you were going to get away with mispronouncing your own name.
And then when I came to there, Joe, I opened my eyes. And as the dust was settling, I looked over, and this wonderful woman I was speaking to, she was trampled. And I went over and I checked, and I got to tell you, she was not breathing. She did not make it. I do not think, which is a horrible feature. And that all came from this fire.
But how were you the only two that got trampled? Were you just like, I can't understand how people could do that.
It was a huge explosion, and we just got knocked over in the process. And
just you and this really nice lady.
No, a number of people. I don't know. I think got
You
knocked
even
down.
mentioned the lady. You didn't have to mention the lady, and then you told a lie that the cops are gonna. Oh, Bello.
So I want to interject here for a second because
so funny.
Joe, you've been lied to a lot in your youth, and you're used to it.
And I'm listening to this conversation too. I mean, I'm still right there.
Yeah. So Joe, I think let's start off. This isn't so much psychology as just your intelligence. You can roll on either one, whichever one.
Is there a bullshit meter stat?
Yeah. You can roll on your bullshit meter.
Yeah, it's called
basically,
the
it's your choice.
Bellowometer.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to roll on my intelligence.
Oh.
But I'll tell you, the conversation's gonna go pretty much as it is because Joe doesn't get mad. Joe
Right.
just
No, and I know Joe doesn't call. I don't expect that.
keeps
But
poking
Yeah, but if
she
you
has
want to know,
stay out
Yeah.
of things and stay,
I get that.
I mean, that's a regular success.
Yeah, so you know that Bello, you know enough that Bello.
You want an
is-
anti-roll, Bello?
Well,
You want, like, an against roll?
should I persuade? I think that might come into play. Am I wrong here?
Well, I don't think this is going to lead to a massive confrontation here. This is for Joe's own
Got
kind
it.
of.
Okay, that's
yeah.
fine. That's fine. I'll
Yeah.
give it to you. Go right ahead, Joe.
So Joe, you know that something's off with Bello's lines, right? You know that this is probably the
like
gist
he
of what.
mentioned the woman,
Yeah, but
and that she's the only one that died.
yeah. And you've, like I said, you've been lied to a lot, so it's not. But y'all continue on. If
Okay.
you'd like a shovel, I'll be happy to give you one Bello to keep on digging here.
Yeah, you thought this was going to bite you in the ass tomorrow night, but it might just.
So Franny,
than
if
that.
you want to do the psych roll from your end,
Actually, I think Franny would probably be distracted by other details of what Bello just said, and not so much on the woman. Bello, could you tell? You said there was an explosion. What building was that in? Can you tell me where that came from?
Yeah. So I will. So I would explain. I don't recall the exact layout.
Right,
It was
yeah.
like north of where we are, northeast, something like that, but fairly close.
well,
and
you're going to know that you were in the cafeteria area and the
right.
offices, and you're going to be able to describe where that explosion was in relation.
and I would do so. I would do so. I will not do it justice here. Bullshitting my way through this, but I was in the cafeteria. It was near the cafeteria, if that helps. And yada yada yada. It was this big building. It looked like there was some sort of construction going on. And when I was inside, suddenly we heard alarms go off. And then I would say, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 minutes later, suddenly that fire just grew. Almost as if there was some sort of accelerant a part of it. It was just far too quick.
Yeah, you
I
certainly
don't know
wouldn't.
why I went British with
Right.
words for a second. Sorry, I
You
went deep.
You certainly wouldn't want to bullshit something of that significance. So, Keeper, would I recognize the building that he is talking about? And part 2 of that question, would I know if there should be something that would explode in that building, or if that was unusual?
Okay, so you know that the place he's talking about was under construction, and
Okay.
that's not kind of bizarre. There's been construction going on in various parts of the facilities ever since you've been there, right?
Mhm.
This lab keeps growing and expanding, and obviously the government's injecting massive funds because the rate of acceleration is quite high.
Mhm.
In terms of something that would make it explode, you're aware of all the building materials that are in use, and that that part seems off to you, right?
Okay.
Something that would accelerate the fire to that degree. So in your mind, what do you have there? Medical? Do you have biology? What do you?
I definitely have biology, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you
biology and
roll-
actually chemistry are my 2 big things.
Okay, roll on
Wayne
one
and
of
I probably
those.
should have discussed that before making our characters, but that's fine.
Yeah, sure. 2 chemists.
Right, yeah.
2 chemists, 1 sandbox.
Every
All
party
right.
needs 2 chemists.
There you
Oh,
go.
Probably will.
Nope, fighters.
That would be a hard success, regardless of whether it's
course.
chemistry or biology.
You're
Really-
so good at rolling on the things that are just like
Inconsequential, yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in that case, where your mind goes is that you're thinking that there was probably a heavy oxygen supply somewhere near there.
Mhm.
That those are the things in the labs that would be most likely to explode. And but for the type of explosion that you see on the horizon and what you're hearing from them, this must have been quite the significant supply, like that possibly in your mind might have been a surgical center.
Okay. And last thing.
And again, like there's nothing here, Franny, that's going to raise red flags for you because there's all kinds of shit going on that nobody knows what's going on in various parts of the building.
Mhm.
But you're just kind of making a mental note that, okay, if this could easily have been a surgical center.
Okay. But given how I'm starting to doubt what's going on in the lab based on what happened with Richard, I'm starting to be suspicious of things like that. So the last question here, given the proximity of the fire and the explosion, do I suspect that my lab would be part of an evacuation or any sort of investigation around that fire, or is it far enough away that I feel like it's going to be in the other part of the facility and I'd be fine to go to my lab?
Yeah, I think you're going to assume that probably at this point, this was hours ago, and that your lab may have been, evacuated, but given the level of clearance to that lab, that probably and the distance, that as long as there were no kind of chain explosions or residual action, that you're fine to and return there at some point.
Okay, then that's going to be my first place to go is
Okay.
my lab.
So I'll just wrap by saying, Joe, it occurs to me, I know when I went in that we talked about creating some sort of diversion for the rest of the group. Do you know, was anything, did you see anything as you guys were out in the car related to prior to this fire, this conflagration occurring?
Well, Bello, I thought you were the diversion.
I mean, I was a
Wasn't that the plan?
I was a diversion, but I wanted to make sure that we had no other subordinating subordinating plans or misdirections.
Bello, I'm just so worried that woman died.
Yeah, I see us as little
wait, but she worked there, right? You said you talked to her.
I was talking with her outside.
And you were outside with other people that work there.
Wait,
yes.
what was her name, Bello?
Bradford. Her name was Miss Bradford.
Do I know Miss Bradford?
She was the woman you were supposed to meet with in the first place.
She was.
But did you go to your meeting?
Well, I had a distraction. You see, there was a boy.
There's a distraction.
Just digging this hole. And so I will recount to you the broad strokes of the detailed conversation I had with the gentleman before her. Regarding my brokerage of some sort of deal for the chicken for the plant.
This is Bello's achievement, so you know that he's earned the golden shovel of deep shit.
But I will leave out the details about ruining the boy's Christmas.
Sure.
I don't know why you'd leave that part out.
And I would say
coworkers who knew her trampled her.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, and I was
left her.
Well, they all were headed towards the gates as the fire was encroaching. At which point, I stumbled my way out, and then you found me. And so I presume maybe they found her at some point thereafter. But it is just too unfortunate.
How do you know she was dead?
Well, I checked.
Just unconscious.
I checked for a pulse.
What if she died because they didn't help her?
Well, I checked for a pulse. And there was no pulse. And she appears to have expired prior to them not helping. So I can't put the blame.
Incredible presence of mind to have your arm completely shattered, your ear torn off, and still be that's admirable. Still be concerned about the woman who may or may not have been punched in the throat. I don't even know why I said that. I don't even know why I said that.
So as I'm observing this conversation, am I picking up on weirdness with either Bello's discomfort or Joe's skepticism? Am I picking up on any of that?
Totally fair Bello's questions about the fire. I mean, just fair.
That's true too.
Yeah, I think that you can make an intelligence roll, but I think knowing how hard you were trying to win Joe's trust back earlier, that you're picking up on what she's putting down at Bello.
That's an extreme success on the intelligence roll.
Yeah, so you're right in line then with what Joe. You're feeling Joe's vibe on Bello and really into. This might be an opportunity for you to kind of restore some of your relationship with her.
So, Bello, are there any details that you're leaving out of this? It seems odd that did they leave you there when they left? None of the MPs came by to shoo you away or to administer first aid.
You mean from inside the offices? Well, see, I see.
No.
Right,
I mean
right.
from outside when both of you fell down and then both of you got trampled. Everyone left.
Mm-hmm.
What happened after that? Did anyone come to assist you? There are folks, there are soldiers there who are there to assist, and I would think that they would be shooing people away from any danger and assisting those who may be hurt.
Yeah, they very well might have been there, Franny. I mean, that's a good point. I did see some MPs, but you got to imagine there was a very large explosion that knocked folks on there, took us, followed by an actual stampede of people to the point where they trampled over us. I mean, they were just, it was a mass panic. We just, maybe they did go by afterwards. I did see some NPs, so it's possible she is alive, and my medical prowess is that of a novel youth. It's a weird.
Maybe when you go back to the facility, you could check on her.
Yes,
I don't think that's a good idea. We probably should not be asking any questions about her. You see, if she's dead, that might be suspicious. And I think it would be better.
Why would it be suspicious to ask about someone who was trampled with you?
Because how would you possibly know that unless you were there when you should not have been?
So you think somebody
but
would
you should have
blame
been
you
there
for being trampled?
I
mean, maybe you could find the people that trampled you. Did you see any faces? Could you give descriptions? This is crime.
That's an assault.
Let me paint you a fresco of what happened.
But I don't understand. But Bello, you're saying it would be suspicious, but you were supposed to be there. You had a meeting with that woman, actually.
Right, and so if somebody...
So it would make sense that you were there with her, evacuating, and then got trampled. So why would it be suspicious that you were checking on her? You were supposed to be meeting with her.
Well, fair point, but I think anytime there's a death on a government campus and there was a stranger visiting that day, somebody may ask questions that are going to be accusatory or at least uncomfortable. And so I think it would be prudent for us not to divert any attention to this horrible manner. And at this point, Keeper, I will say, I see Miss Bradford like with her arms crossed. I'm like having these like bad hallucinations, and she's just like staring me down, giving me the like eye, like you motherfucker, and just sort of tapping her toe, and maybe her head's like halfway off, like nearly head in a snick or something like that. Who knows? But that's what I'm now getting as I'm getting more and more stressed.
Sure. Make a sand roll on that. And Joe, you can make an intelligence roll for me. And I just want to let y'all know, as the keeper, I'm enjoying this far more than I should be. I really am.
Yeah, I see you over there stirring pots.
Yeah,
I got a 3. I got a 3. So
whoa.
Okay. All right.
Wow,
so
just
so
a regular success for me.
This is apparently very, very common for Bello.
Yeah, I was about to say, maybe this is starting to be, maybe Bello's used to kind of dealing with these apparitions. Joe, I just taking a moment to point out that you're recognizing that Franny's working with you on this, and you're feeling kind of a connection or kinship just based on how well she's supporting you in this not so quite direct, but direct interaction with Bello here.
Oh, that's great. That's good for my relationship with Franny.
Yeah.
Not so much Bello.
Yeah. The keeper giveth and the keeper taketh.
And so that's most of what happened.
All right, so we'll probably end here with Bello digging a deep hole for himself And is there anything anybody else wants to do at the conclusion of this? Cully,
No,
is there?
I mean, the only thing I'd say is it seems like that took a while.
Yeah.
So maybe Rutherford would have had time to finish everything in the dark room as they're finishing their grilling of poulet.
Yeah.
So then we can maybe come back together.
Wow.
Okay. So Rutherford, as you finish this piece of film and you get it all kind of fixed on there, and you run out into Cully's room, right? Cully, you've been kind of wringing your hands with anticipation, and this whole process has taken not too long, probably like half an hour or so. And Rutherford, you race out, and like the film is still dripping water, right? You just want to see it in the light. And it's tiny, mind you. It's smaller than a piece of 35 millimeter film, but as you hold it up to the light, you're definitely, you can see a face in the film.
Ooh.
And you want to, you're going to have to develop it further, right? You're going to have to project it onto paper so that it's not a negative, but you're certain you have a face. And I think that's a great little cliffhanger too.
That's wonderful.
Nice.
Cully, we have a face.
All right, and that's where we're going to call it for this episode. Thank you for being with us. Until next time, you can find us at UnderTheLibrary.com, on Instagram, Under the Library, Twitter, Under the LIB, on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. So for me, for Michael, for Emily, Scott, Chris, Rick, and Wayne, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.